What up, folks? I ain't made a video in a little minute. You know what I'm saying? This Kiki Puda Empress, I preach this. I got this too. I come on here today because I need for people to understand, like, you know, how serious some things are. And, like, just how you shouldn't take things for a joke. It's not necessarily, I mean, how can I put it? People take me for a joke. People will say whatever. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And, you know, they did some form of an evaluation. You gotta ask the people who claim that they did this, has an evaluation been done on themselves? Okay? Reason being is because, you know, if someone has schizophrenia or bipolar or PTSD, okay, they get dreams, they get visions, they have interactive minds. It's in the negative though, because it's been distorted, it's been manipulated, and it's been split. Alright? Trauma does that. Drama does that, you know. And karma can too. Depends on, you know, who you got being your devil type thing. Now, when people have technology, medical information, your background, they have more information on you than you do. But they're not you. They'll think that they know you, but they don't. What you need to understand is this. You are with you 24 hours out of a day. In your silent moments to your chaotic moments. You know what makes you tick, what makes you laugh, what makes you angry. You know how to approach something if you desire to approach it. You know. But when it comes to matters of the mind, it's just like this physical world. If you don't want to face what's in front of you, then you don't want to face what's inside of you. 9 times out of 10, you don't want to face what's behind you. You know, you want the wool to stay over your eyes. And that just makes things worse for you. And I'm not even trying to joke about it, because I studied in that field. I had certain things, you know, get diagnosed on me. And, like, there's nothing you can't work through. No matter what someone says, there's nothing you can't work through. And even at my lowest point, the thought that ran through my mind the most was, I read in the book, the Egyptians said, they've solved every problem on this earth. There's nothing left for them to do. And so what they decided to do was leave. and explore the next planet. That doesn't sound to me like they are, you know, stuck in a Twilight Zone or in the Truman Show or, you know, believing in fictitious ideologies. Sounds to me like every light bulb is screwed on pretty good. And they understand a lot more than what we do. You know. So that's something to think about. Something to be proud of. You know, especially when you're from the golden era of time. You know. And so it's sad when people kind of know you from the golden era of time, but they want to play you. Like you from the iron and clay era in time. That's the difference. Your 3D self looks at everything as it's the same. The iron and clay. You don't remember your 5D self. The golden era in time. So therefore you can't relate. You know? And it's a lot of what they would call mind control. Because you're taught to just focus on this reality. Forgetting that other realities exist. And that you are those realities. And you once were those realities. And those realities have never died. Because I'll keep saying the same thing. Your soul and your spirit never die. So, therefore, a person cannot take your destiny or decide your fate. All they can do is catch you off guard, which is a low vibration. Keep you in it. Wrap you in a reality that had you stuck in it. You know, like anything a person saw that brought the fear out of me, they just mentally logged it, physically logged it, and then kept putting that shit in my face. Not realizing that when a person, it's like, you know, the male species, when that man don't want to argue with you no more, he's good at where this is going. He sees it going nowhere. And so, when you decide that, you know, you ain't gonna give a fuck about this shit no more, and then you gonna pack your shit up and go, he already made that shit up in his brain already, that he wasn't staying. You know, he saw your elevator not going up. Okay? It's the same shit. You know? That's why men be tripping when they see women lose their shit. But men know when women lose their shit for the good or when women lose their shit for the bad. Just like women know in men. You know, the difference is we're all over the place, emotions. Now I'm going to flip the script. Imagine me as the lady. But I come across a lot of men that act like bitches. Nah, yo. You can't adapt to that. Not when you already dealt with, you know, a real man or real men that don't do all that talking. They be about that action. So when you got a man that bitch all the time, yeah, that's a sign. You know, he might not realize it's a part of his circle, but it is, and that needs to be corrected. It's kind of like when the world wants to tame you, they soften you. You know? And then when you know that all your breaking points in life have been recorded, guess what? Something should click in your mind and say, I have been here before. This has been done before. And, all right. Let's move a little bit better. Because no matter how much divination I could do, I'm never going to get the full spectrum of what I was in my past. Because that doesn't exist anymore. You have to accept the fact that people evolve. So when people evolve, the world is supposed to too. My situation just proves like how dangerous staying in the past can be. You know, how dangerous a split mind can act. How dangerous like an unhinged person that's just set to destroy. You know? When you're set to destroy, you're just a ball of destruction the entire way. Until you get to that indestructible like point, which is whatever that destination. So, in my mind, you know how I look at it? You know? Our slave masters came from somewhere else. But they were set on destroying what we are and what we built. And they came from everywhere. Everywhere with the same agenda. Same map or blueprint. You know? And what should fuck you up is the fact that they learned it from your studies, from the actual events you went through in your life. In this one, and in your previous. I tell folks all the time that the books they hide, they talk about you. It's not about shit, nothing else. The movies are about you. You know? A lot of things aren't modeled after you. You would think you should get credit for that, which you should. But imagine sometimes if you haven't gotten proper compensation since you created the alphabet. You know? And someone was very successful at creating a system to hijack your alphabet money. And let's say that the alphabet was created, gosh almighty, 5,000 years ago. Soul and spirit never die. You can go to other planets, or you can be reborn back on this one. Doesn't matter. Your wealth is still yours because your soul and spirit never die. So essentially when you're born, it's kind of like the system in place is supposed to pick up where it's left off and say, hey, hi, Miss Dilworth, how are you doing? Even though you can't talk yet, walk yet, and you still give me the googly eyes. But this is yours. You know? That's that generational wealth. So imagine you're like evildoers, okay? They're coming from 5,000 years ago to make sure you don't even get your alphabet money. Imagine if you created the letter A, and A has been going strong. 5,000 years. That's a lot of back pay. Well, that's essentially what's going on. You know? When you create sound, frequency, vibration, color, shape, letters, language, I can keep going. You think God will allow you to come back in just regular form and not collect? You know? So let me put this a different way so a lot of people can understand. Because it doesn't matter if you were using the devil practices or angelic practices. And if you don't know what I mean by angelic practices, I'm supposed to be able to show you. Once, you know, these crazies get clipped out of my energy, so to speak. But it doesn't matter which practices you use, because it's like you're using either a lower form God or a higher form God. Okay? Either way, the God is relevant. Alright? Now, you've had people that have appeared through history. They have literally died. They have come back, and their face looks the same. You know, people now living and their face looks the same. And they are thriving. They're not surviving. Reason being, I think they know that they're supposed to get compensated, you know, for their word sound power, for their history, and for their, you know, added contribution to this planet. And that was never supposed to be suppressed. But you know what they understand is timing. All right? That's the difference. You know, which God is in power during which timing? And how should I govern myself. Fuck somebody else governing me. How should I govern myself according to this God and this timing? All right? And what we all understand is there's not a cap on it. However, in the old era and time, they put a cap on it because there was a cap on existence, 120 years. So imagine at the beginning. All you gotta do is think in your mind. What type of concept do you have of the beginning? Trees are always gonna look like trees, Grass is always gonna look like grass. Dirt's gonna always look like dirt. It's timing. Okay? All the things they don't teach you in school is the things you really need to learn. Alright? Because it has a lot to do with who you are inside. Because you want eventually your insides to flow on your outsides. Understanding timing gets you to a point where you realize what's been hidden about me must be revealed. What is knowledge? Revelation. What word are you in the Bible? And then, what's your concept of the beginning? Meaning this. Where is it that you think you belong? Some of us belong in the 36,000 years. Some of us belong in the 3,600 years. Either way, it's a big gap in between that. A lot of things that we think we know that we don't know. A lot of things that others want to enlighten us about, but you got a couple that are like, want to stay stuck in the past. And it's not that they can't comprehend the future. It's because they are being compensated off of your past. And they just never wanted you to know who you are. That's it. Never wanted you to know what your potential is and how you can tap into that to become like better. There's nothing wrong with being better. Okay? And I'm not talking about better than someone else. I'm talking about better than yourself. Better than the day before. Last week. A second ago. Doesn't matter. Truth of the matter is, educating yourself will never leave you at a loss. It is very true. When people take everything from you, knowledge could never be stripped away from you. I'm living proof of that. And even when they mess with my mind in surgeries, they thought I wouldn't get it back. So a lot of people are shocked that I did. But what people aren't understanding is I went on a quest through my entire brain. I was curious about why holes existed, why memory was taken from me, because I knew the capacity of what I was doing then. I knew how sharp I was, and I was wondering what happened. I got depressing news. Like, damn, this is the process that I'm stealing your soul. And God got to show me how to get it back. But faith without works is dead. I had to put some action in that shit too. People were mad that, I was putting more action into that, into what they were, versus what they was talking about. But I did experiments on myself, so I knew what I was talking about. That's the difference. As you learn yourself, get to know yourself, you'll realize how much you don't need other people. But if you have a codependent mind, you'll always need other people. And it's nothing bad about having other people around and being friends with them and co-creating together. It's about respecting thought. Okay? It's about respecting people's creative spaces. And it's about recognizing, like, okay, who did what? So it's one of those things where if you got credit for what someone else did, those credits will be adjusted. You don't want, like, things to be fair, or you don't want the balance to be restored. But the truth of the matter is, in the beginning, there was no chaos. There was harmony. So, chaos can't live in harmony, because harmony is too close to love. What is love always gonna do? It's gonna come back. It's gonna figure out a way. It's gonna get creative. It's gonna have a solution. It's gonna be like, hey, yo, I know you're over there on Mars and I'm over here on Venus, but we gotta come to the middle of something about some shit. Right then, and Mars be like, touche, Venus, but let's talk about it. We meet in the middle. And Mars's meet in the middle might be, just yell this shit to me. I ain't ready to, like, fuck with you on some real shit yet. Let me see what you're talking about. And then Venus is like, cool. You ain't gotta see, all this perfection in motion. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind shouting that shit out to you. I'll make sure it echoes, throughout existence, so you get it. You'll feel it. And Mars is like, all right, now that I got a feeling and a whiff of it, let me see. I think I like it. Sound to me like some compromise. Sounds to me like a chance. Sounds to me like no matter the type of conversation it was had, sounds to me like it's easy to solve problems. Seems like the people that don't want to solve problems don't want to have a sit down with you and don't want to talk about it. So it's one of those things where it's easy to understand how the process of elimination works. You don't want to express yourself. Expression is a real form of existence. Or if you haven't been taught how to express yourself. learning how to express yourself is a real form of existence too. And I think that's like one of those things that need to be readmitted, you know. 'Cause I'm one of those that's like, all right, if you can't talk, we're going to learn some sign language together, you know. Because I don't know that braille shit, and you ain't doing this verbal shit with me. Get it? The world isn't even designed for people to stay stuck. Mm-mm. It's like what's going through my mind is, in order to be stuck, you would have to be like how does the word become a word? You know, how was that demonstrated out? Just, I don't know, a word like fantastic. But fantastic has a place. You know what I'm saying? It has a meaning. You know, it has a feeling attached to it. It has an existence. They had to see fantastic in motion in order for fantastic to become a word. How else could fantastic get planted and rooted? So, it's a good thing to kind of stop falling for anything and start thinking about everything. You know, thinking and educating yourself actually takes the stress off of you. Because it's like, oh, I found a solution. It's pretty much that goddamn simple. What was like, wasn't what Nikola Tesla always doing? Find the goddamn solution. Einstein, find the motherfucking solution. Ford, find the goddamn solution. It's like everybody move the world forward with finding solutions. And all of a sudden now, it's motherfuckers out here that still want to stop solutions when solutions time is now. We supposed to have been through the problem like solving phase. Or like the sample, example. Now it's like execution, existence. It's kind of like, all right, black people, you want your shot at art. Let's see what you got. You know. You can't call like, what's that damn show? I think it's Cannibal. Like, you can't call that shit art. That shit is just fucking death. And that shit is just you being demented as fuck. Not growing. And just indulging in your fucked up ass fetishes. And getting a kick out of it. You know what I'm saying? And you just hurting motherfuckers that, shit, getting off work. You claim to be nice to them, want to take them out to dinner. Or like, because you sizing them up, watching them and shit. You know, it's like things like that. God sees and God's like, yo, this shit get on my fucking nerves. Like, this shit gotta go. It gotta stop, you know. And breaking point reached. It's that type of thing. So it's also like it might kill you to like be doing something new, because you can't kill other motherfuckers, you know, and eat them at your dinner table or some stupid shit off the fucking show. But it's necessary for you to understand that your life in that way cannot continue. It's kind of fucking up the time continuum, you know. Okay? I'm going to take my time in posting this, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying. Later, people.